my name's Ewan with Gamma Sports. I'm the stringing machine technician, and today I'm going to be doing the first in a three-part video series on stringing machine maintenance. So today I want to talk a little bit about cleaning your string clamps, starting clamps, string grippers, as well as maybe even your base clamp and your turntable. So what I want to do first for everyone today is just kind of walk you through cleaning your string clamps. So I have all of the different kinds of clamps that Gamma offers out here, including our starting clamps. And I want to go through each one because you may need to actually take the clamp apart in order to get into the jaws to clean them thoroughly. That works a little bit differently for each of these clamps. So I'm going to take one of these and just start by showing everybody how to do that. So first thing you'll notice on each of these clamps is they have a dial or a knob where you can adjust the I guess the clamping pressure of these jaws. So you'll probably want to go ahead and first just take that completely off. So with these clamps, that's pretty much all you need to do. And then once that's off, you'll see this jaw comes out. And sometimes those springs might stay in there, sometimes they might stay on the other side. But we can just go ahead and leave those there. And you'll notice that the lever comes off on the back as well. So once we have that exposed, then you're pretty much good to go just to go ahead and clean these clamps really thoroughly. And we'll get to that later. For now, let's just focus on taking these other clamps apart. So the next clamp that we have is this black aluminum clamp. So same process. Let's just take this knob off. But there's some additional steps for this one because you'll notice down here there's a couple screws that hold these jaws on the bottom. And that lever is going to come off the back again. So we'll need this hex wrench. It should come with your machine. And we'll just go ahead and unscrew these. Now, depending on what you're using, you may even be able to clean these jaws pretty well at this point. You can see there's a pretty nice gap in there, but just to make it easier, I like to take it all the way apart, just so I'm making sure I'm not missing any spots or some string gunk that's in there. You will have to go back and readjust the position of these jaws so that the strings are not slipping on you or that you're not clamping it too tight. So just keep that in mind as well. And you'll see some stuff is starting to fall out here. That is okay. We'll get that all back together at the end. So these go on the back of the clamp. You want to make sure not to lose any of these. And let's see, some springs just came out. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So now that clamp is apart. You see I got 2 screws, 2 washers, 2 springs, and 2 nuts. So keep all of those. Make sure not to lose any. And you can see this clamp is pretty dirty, so I definitely need to clean this one. You can see all that string gunk build up on there. And now this one, again, no screws to unscrew this time. Just take off the knob, and then the lever is going to come out. Again, this jaw is going to come off the back, but on this clamp, there are 2 sets of springs. So there's a larger set, slightly longer springs that go down here on the bottom, and then shorter ones that go up here on the top of this clamp. So make sure you don't get those mixed up when you're doing this. And then in terms of the string clamps, that's really the only 3 that we need to take apart. This one, see, once I unclamp it here, if you need to, you can take this one apart, but you see there's enough of a space in there that you should be able to see all of the gunk and everything you need to do without fully taking this clamp apart. So you probably don't need to do that with this clamp, but you can if necessary. This one's also pretty easy. Again, just screw this knob off, and then everything just kind of opens up real wide there for you. So now that I've shown you how to take apart all these clamps, I'm going to take some isopropyl rubbing alcohol here, and I'm going to take this kind of Q-tip cleaning device that I have, and that's not going to fit in there. So let's screw the top off. I'll get that soaked pretty nicely in the rubbing alcohol. And then you're just going to apply that to the clamp nice and thoroughly, like so. And I'm just going to let that dry for a second to see if I missed anything. I'm going to do that to the other side. And that's pretty much it. Depending on how often you're stringing, you may need to do this at varying intervals. I would recommend at least doing it every couple months. You can see there's still some stuff on this one, so I'm going to go back over this. And I'm just going to let those dry. So you can see that pretty much took off all of that junk that was on there. There's still a couple spots where there's still a little bit. I might need to go back with something to scrape that off, maybe even use my fingernail on those spots to try to get those. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this. You see, that was really easy to get those cleaned off. So in terms of string clamps, really easy to clean as long as you're not losing any of the parts for the clamps and remembering how to put them back together. That is just about all you need for cleaning your string clamps. The starting clamp, cleaning this is going to be a little bit different than the clamps because you actually have to squeeze it to get inside there. So I'm using a thinner tool this time so that I can get that down in where the string is usually gripping. So again, I'm going to dip this in my rubbing alcohol. And then just like the clamps, I'm just going to give that a good scrub. And I'll try to hold this open. It's probably pretty tough to see in there, but there was some string junk that had been built up in the starting clamp. I'm just going to hold it open while it dries so I can go back and see if I need to give it another go. It looks like I do. It's a pretty good forearm workout as well. So just getting as deep in there as I can, making sure I'm scrubbing both sides. And then again, just letting that dry for a second. And that's about it for the starting clamp. Because these starting clamps are so strong, you might not need to do this depending on if you use a starting clamp or not. You probably won't need to do this as often as you would with your string clamps, but it's still a good idea to go back and do that every now and then. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to clean the string grippers on your machine. Alright, so I have here a piece of Gamma Supreme Overgrip, and what I'm going to be doing, because this isn't going to fit inside these jaws unless I want to take this apart, which is pretty tedious, and there's some ball bearings that are going to fly out, so I don't want to go taking that apart if I don't need to. So I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol here, and I'm going to put it on my overgrip. You can also use a shoelace or even like a thin piece of string that's going to absorb some rubbing alcohol. I'm just putting this on both sides. You gotta be a little quick because it will dry on you. And then I'm just gonna try to fit that in there and just kind of give it a scrub back and forth. And then check to see if you need to do it again. That looks pretty good to me. So that's a little nifty trick for cleaning the string grippers without having to take anything apart there, which is kind of complicated. So the last thing I want to show you guys is how to clean, or what to clean specifically on your turntable if you need to. You might notice along the tracks for the base clamps there might be some scoring, or maybe some black dust or anything like that that is built up on here, and maybe your clamp is starting to slip a little bit. So it might be a good idea to use some rubbing alcohol and clean those off as well. So you can see what I've done here is I've removed the plastic stopper from the turntable, which you can see here, and there's just a couple screws that hold that in on the underside of the turntable. So you can screw that off, and that way you can just lift off the base clamp. And I'll come back to that later, but for now I'm just going to take my rubbing alcohol and I'm just going to clean around the edges. And then do my best to get the underside as well. You can see I've already gotten some dust and stuff off there, so that's good. And that's about it for the turntable. If you want to be super thorough, you can come back to your base clamp and you can just give it a nice rub in there. Just making sure there's nothing that's gonna cause the clamps to slip on you. And that's about it. Then you can just go ahead and put the clamp back in. And you should be all set. If you enjoyed this stringing machine maintenance video, I hope you found some helpful tips and tricks for cleaning your machine in here. If you liked the video, please leave us a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.